Hey everybody, Matt Rice from Bushnell. We're out here at the GA Precision Range, out here on what's shaping up to be a beautiful morning. Joining me is Brian Sykes. If you aren't familiar with Brian, then you probably haven't been watching much on the Bushnell channel very much, but Brian's a longtime PRS shooter, ex-military, just an all-around hell of a good guy. Brian, thanks for coming out, man.
Hey man, I'm happy to be here.
We're kind of encroaching on your space a little bit. You're training up for a match, but I wanted to talk to you about a piece of gear that you've been running. And that's these bad boys right here, the Forge 15x56. What do you think of these things, Brian?
Man, for what you're paying for, it's about as solid as it gets. Man, I treat it kind of like I treat all my stuff, and that's pretty hard. So if they can hold up for what I put them through, I don't think anyone else. I mean, I'm pretty famous for breaking stuff, so if I can't do it, I'm pretty hard-pressed to think anyone else could.
Well, that's why we like having guys like you on the team, because if you break it, then we try to figure out where the heck we can improve it.
Exactly.
But, I mean, you've been running these for a couple years, and I've seen a lot of people on the PRS circuit start to turn to these. What has made these high-powered binos so popular?
So I think in general, for what we're doing, precision rifle series type shooting, I wouldn't say they have kind of taken the place of a spotter. Spotters are always going to have their place. There's always going to be a reason to have one. But in general terms, you never know what you're going to come to at a PRS match. You don't know what the target array is, conditions, etc. And it just kind of seems like if you're going to bring one piece of gear, a pair of 15-power binos is it. I mean, you can spot hits and misses at 1,000. You can spot trace effortlessly, easier than you can with a spotter. Shot groups at 100, obvious. There's almost no backlash on your focal knob. It's got a really solid focal distance. So, you know, in those matches and in those stages where you have, you know, not just targets, ducks in a row, you might have targets, you know, 100 degrees of separation. Getting into a pair of dual eye 15-power binoculars versus a spotter, it's going to be a lot easier for everyone to find targets, spot targets, see hits, see misses, and then also kind of relate to the weather conditions as they change. Having that big field of view, kind of seeing wind pick up, let down, or even see something that you didn't necessarily notice before, like wind and mirage on the top of berm X.
Good point.
You're shooting berm Y, but it's a big picture scenario, so it's good information, and that's kind of why I've turned to binos in matches and hunting for that matter. But that's why you see a lot of people at these matches have kind of pulled away from the specific use of a spotter in replacement of binos. It just gives you just more big picture, you know?
So I know you get to look through a lot of glass, not only working at GA, but just your experience. How would you rate the quality of glass that are in these forges compared to some of the other models out there?
In short, it's stellar. It hasn't left me hanging. I would never blame the glass that's in this for me not observing a hit or a miss. It's as solid as it gets. I've been pretty tough on these. As you can see, I don't have front caps or rear caps. Like, I use it how I would normally. I'm the guy that, you know, pulls my sleeve and wipes the lenses and does all the things that aren't necessarily recommended, and they still have held up to me, both in dusty environments and shooting in the rain and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's solid. There are obviously other brands and things like that have high power binos, and you know, you don't need to bash someone else's product to promote yours. They're great, they're good, but for what you're getting here, I'd just as soon have this than have something else.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. Like you mentioned, you've used these for not only shooting but hunting. I mean, when you're out there glassing, I mean, just how much forgiving it is to be able to use both eyes and kind of, you know, like you said, it can be straining.
It's
from an
straining.
RO perspective, or just
RO perspective, you know, when you're shooting big country, you're hunting big country, I think people underestimate how much even just a single eye piece will just really just work that one eye. And what is that one eye? Its true intent is to look through a scope and shoot something, right? So having dual eye, man, it mitigates headaches, and that's absolutely a proven fact. It just keeps the field of view a lot wider, a lot more broad, and it's just a simpler way to use it. I mean, I think everyone from, you know, 5 years old to 50 years old to 500 years old at one point or time another have used a pair of binoculars, you know? So
right.
it's kind of easy just to throw them up on your face and use it. If I'm not running it off a tripod, I'll use, you know, a tree like this, put a shooting bag on it, and maybe set the binos on it. They can be used offhand, but you just got to keep in mind with 15 power, you might feel a little bit of shake, but that doesn't mean you can't crush the elbows in and just kind of hunch and see what you need to see. But for a stationary, static, deliberate position off a tripod or a little shooting bag or something solid back of your pickup truck, man, I'm certainly not disappointed with them.
I'm not either. These things have been phenomenal. I mean, Brian hit on some of the high points, but I mean, they are compact enough that you can hold them in the hand. You do need that kind of positional placement when you're using that. But I mean, ED prime glass, exo barrier, nice overmold covers. Everything that you would want in a pair of binos, you're going to find them in these forges. So go check out Bushnell.com, go to your favorite retailer, pick them up, and we promise you will not be disappointed in these new Forge 15x56. So we're going to let Brian get at it. He's got some prep to do before his next match. But Brian, appreciate you taking a couple minutes, man.
Yeah, man.
Just kind of chilling here.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely, man. Love having you guys out anytime.